It takes more than just making ends meet to be good with money. Don't worry if you're not a math whiz, strong math skills aren't required, all you need is a basic understanding of addition and subtraction. When you have solid financial skills, life is a lot easier. Your credit score and the amount of debt you wind up carrying are both affected by how you spend your money. If you're having trouble with money management, such as living paycheck to paycheck despite having a lot of money, here are some suggestions to help you improve your financial habits. Don't just assume you can afford something when you're faced with a spending decision, especially one that involves a big purchase. Check to see whether you can afford it and if you haven't previously used those dollars for something else. This involves determining whether you can afford a purchase based on your budget and the balances in your checking and savings accounts. It's important to remember that just because you have the money doesn't guarantee you can make the buy. You must also evaluate the debts and expenses that must be paid before the next payday. Number 1. Have a budget. Many people avoid budgeting because they believe it would be a tedious process of noting costs, adding up figures, and double-checking that everything is in order. When it comes to budgeting, you can't afford to make excuses if you're bad with money. Why wouldn't you spend a few hours each month working on a budget to get your spending under control? Focus on the value that budgeting will bring to your life rather than the process of creating one. Number 2. Use the budget. Your financial plan is ineffective. If you make it, put it in a folder on your bookshelf or file cabinet to accumulate dust. It's a good idea to refer to it during the month to assist you make spending selections. It should be updated as bills are paid and other monthly expenses are incurred. You should know how much money you have available to spend at any given point during the month, taking into account any remaining expenses. Number 3. Give yourself a limit for unbudgeted spending. The net income, or the amount of money left over after subtracting your expenses from your revenue, is an important aspect of your budget. You can utilize any money you have left over for pleasure and enjoyment, but only up to a specific amount. You can't go crazy with this money, especially since it isn't much and must last the entire month. Before you make any major purchases, double-check that they will not conflict with anything else you have planned. Number 4. Keep track of your spending. Small purchases pile up rapidly, and before you realize it, you've spent all of your money. Begin tracking your spending to identify areas where you may be overspending without realizing it. Save your receipts and keep track of your purchases in a spending journal, categorizing them so you can see where you're having trouble controlling your spending. Number 5. Don't sign up for any new monthly bills. It doesn't mean you should take a loan just because your salary and credit qualifies you for it. Many people mistakenly believe that if they applied for a credit card or a loan that they couldn't afford, the bank would deny them. The bank only knows your stated income and the debt commitments on your credit report. It has no knowledge of any other obligations that would prohibit you from completing your payments on time. Based on your income and other monthly responsibilities, you must determine if a monthly payment is affordable. Number 6. Check to see whether you are getting the greatest deal. You can get the most out of your money by comparison shopping and making sure you're getting the best deal on products and services. When possible, look for discounts, coupons, and less expensive alternatives. Number 7. Put money aside for large purchases. The ability to resist gratification will go a long way toward improving your financial situation. Rather forsaking other vital necessities or putting a significant purchase on a credit card, deferring large expenditures gives you more time to consider whether the item is necessary and even more opportunity to research pricing. You can avoid paying interest on a purchase if you save instead of utilizing credit. And if you save instead of skipping bills or commitments, you won't have to cope with the numerous disadvantages of not paying them. Number 8. Keep your credit card purchases to a minimum. A bad spender's biggest enemy is credit cards. When you run out of cash, you immediately reach for your credit cards, regardless of whether or not you can afford to pay off the sum. Avoid using your credit cards to make purchases you can't afford, especially for products you don't require. Number 9. Make frequent contributions to your savings account. Putting money into a savings account on a monthly basis can help you develop good financial habits. You can also set it up to move money from your checking account to your savings account automatically. You won't have to remember to make the transfer this way. Number 10. Being good with money takes practice. You may not be used to preparing ahead of time and delaying purchases until you can afford them at first. The more you adopt these habits into your daily routine, the easier it will be to manage your money and improve your financial situation.